Drugs have built some of the largest fortunes in history, from Al Capone smuggling alcohol during the Prohibition era to Pablo Escobar flooding Miami beaches with cocaine. It's more than proven that drug lords can amass massive fortunes within a few years. But have you ever wondered how it is possible to make so much money in this business? Why don't other businesses outside the law make as much money as drug trafficking does? To answer this, we need to delve into the business model of drug trafficking, especially the cocaine trade. Why cocaine? Because it's one of the most consumed drugs in America, with over 1.5 million consumers, and it was the drug that made the United States to pay attention to this problem. Before that, the DEA, Drug Enforcement Administration, was a very small institution with limited resources, and drugs were not a problem of national impact as they are today. To understand the unit economics of cocaine, we need to go to the Colombian jungle. Colombia is by far the largest producer of cocaine in the world. The International Narcotics Control Strategy report revealed that the Latin American country accounts for 2/3 of the global cultivation and cocaine production in the world. It all starts with the coca leaf. The so-called raspachines collect the harvest to convert it into coca paste, and finally into cocaine. Contrary to what you might think, Colombian farmers grow this product out of necessity, not because they want to get rich.
Nosotros generalmente somos raspachines, nos gusta andar de finca a finca porque nos ganamos más plata, porque nosotros venimos de diferentes municipios a esta región, del Naya. Entonces eso es como en busca de oportunidades, ¿no? La coca pues es algo que nos da mucho para vivir, para comprar nuestras cosas. En cambio un raspachín pues se gana 120 mil pesos, dependiendo cómo esté el tajo.
On top of that, the complexity of the ecosystem in Colombia makes it difficult to have good infrastructure where farmers can easily sell and transport any type of products. A Colombian farmer earns just 0.05% of the total price of cocaine. This product only grows in hot and humid climates, which is why Colombian jungles are perfect for this type of product. After the farmer harvests the coca leaf crop, they bring it to a nearby small house for processing. Using a large container, they heat baking soda. The head of the kitchen, also known as El Maestro Cocalero, which means the master of coca, starts by crushing the coca leaf with a motor saw. Then they add ammonia and mix it using their feet, repeating the process a couple of times before putting all the content into a big container into which they pour gasoline. Although sometimes gasoline is bought from national gas stations, most of the time it is bought from clandestine refineries that steal oil from the state-owned oil company Ecopetrol. The company transports its oil through pipelines from different oil fields to the main refineries and ports of the country. Armed groups dig holes and steal crude oil from the pipelines. Then they use hoses to connect the pipelines to clandestine refineries where they heat the crude oil in tanks, causing most of the oil to evaporate into gas. This gas is then cooled and condensed back into liquid to form the gasoline used by farmers in processing cocaine. The crushed coca leaf remains soaked in gasoline for a couple of hours to ferment it in order to extract the alkali. The liquid is filtered multiple times. The residues from the liquid are used to make what is known as crack, also called the poor man's cocaine. After this, the liquid is mixed with baking soda and hydrochloric acid, then filtered multiple times again. The lumps left after this process are what is known as coca paste, the main ingredient of cocaine. It is a long and complicated process that requires multiple filtrations to extract every last drop of water. Each kilogram of coca paste is worth $600. Then they transport the paste to a clandestine laboratory in western Colombia that is equipped with all the necessary instruments to produce the highest quality cocaine. The first step is to melt the base paste into a container, adding different chemicals to clean the base and remove any impurities. After a few hours and several chemical and filtration processes, the cocaine finally begins to appear. Then comes the hand drying and microwave ovens. After this, the cocaine is bagged and weighed. At this point, 1 kilo of cocaine is already worth $1,500, almost triple the price of cocaine-based paste. The cook charges roughly 10% of this value for completing the entire process. Then the cocaine is pressed into the form we all know, with the design according to the buyer's group. Afterward, the drug is transported to the Colombian coast to a zone controlled by the most important drug trafficker in Colombia, aka Otoniel, the leader of the Clan del Golfo group. At this point, a boat with a cargo capacity of 100 kilos arrives to transport the cocaine from the Colombian coast to Panama in approximately 2 days. Due to its size, this type of boat is safer than larger ones. Additionally, all the cocaine is stored in bags with the stones that will be thrown into the sea in case the police intercepts them. All this transportation will cost $350 per kilogram.
Aquí este bote, pero hay un día y medio, casi 2 días.
Es difícil entonces.
Es difícil la cosa, pero uno por la familia no hace todo. ¿Me entiendes?
¿Es muy peligroso esa actividad?
Sí, señor.
¿Por qué?
No, porque uno tiene la vaina de que uno le vaya a ir bien, a como le va mal, a como también se puede morir.
Once it arrives in Panama, every kilo of cocaine is worth $3,000. In Panama, it will cross through Central America to Mexico, where Mexican cartels will transport it across the border into the United States. The price of a kilo of cocaine in Mexico is $10,000, which is almost 10 times its original price in Colombia. The Sinaloa cartel is one of the most powerful cartels in the country. Its last leader was the well-known drug lord Joaquin Guzman Loera, aka El Chapo Guzman, who was sentenced to life imprisonment at the maximum security prison in Florence in the US. However, his sons, aka Los Chapitos, are the new leaders of the Sinaloa cartel. They receive the cocaine in Mexico and then transport it to a small distribution center, where they prepare the product to be smuggled across the border. The size of the Mexican-American border makes it very difficult to control drug traffickers. The Mexicans have also found very creative ways to smuggle drugs into the United States, one of which is the network of tunnels that they have built across the border. Other methods of transportation include small planes, boats, and even submarines. The main routes are all over the border, ranging from Texas, Arizona, and of course California. Once it crosses the border, the value of 1 kilogram of cocaine increases to $25,000 in border states. However, all these drug lords have built different distribution routes across the entire country, which means that the drug will arrive quickly in major cities like New York, Seattle, or Washington, where the price could reach up to $75,000 per kilo at the wholesale level. Once the drug arrives in these cities, it is sold by small-scale drug dealers, driving its price up to $120,000 per kilo. In addition, it is important to mention that the drug is typically mixed with other substances to maximize profits. As you can see, the majority of the increment in price comes when the cocaine arrives in Mexico and crosses the border. That's why it's very important to control the distribution process in the United States to have big earnings. Today, Mexican cartels make the majority of the earnings in the business. However, a couple of decades ago, the situation was different. Pablo Escobar was one of the first people who created a distribution network within the US with their central hub in Miami. He partnered with Colombian people who were living in the US and started to create the network from scratch. All the major drug lords who follow Escobar did the same. The Cali cartel, for example, focused on New York, where they built one of the country's largest networks. However, when the DEA began to strengthen operations in the Caribbean, the routes they were using at the time started to become less profitable. That's why they partnered with Mexican cartels to find new ways to enter the product into the US. The partnership started as an urban negotiation where Mexicans, led at the time by Miguel Ángel Félix Gallardo, aka the boss of bosses, charged a quantity for the border crossing and then delivered the merchandise to a storage facility run by Colombians. Over the years, Mexico realized that a significant portion of the profits lay not in border crossing but in direct sales in the United States, so they started to build their own network within the US. This is what truly allowed the Mexican cartels to attain the power they have today. As you can see, drug trafficking is a very lucrative business. The main reason of the increase in price is that the cocaine only grows in certain areas like Colombia, Peru, or Bolivia, making the supply limited. The price of coca paste is $600 per kilo, and when it is processed into cocaine, it is worth $1,500 per kilo. After this, it is transported to Panama, and its price reaches $3,000 per kilo. Then, after its trip from Panama to Mexico, it would be worth $10,000. Once it is crossed and delivered in major cities, the price per kilo will reach $75,000. Which means that if we only take into consideration that the drug lords sell at the wholesale price and take the Panama price as a reference, they are making 25 times the money invested. Of course, we must subtract the expenses, but this gives an idea of why cocaine is such a profitable business. To put you in context, the DEA estimates that only 13% of cocaine shipments are intercepted. The value of all shipments that were intercepted between 2006 and 2015 was $6 billion. Which means that approximately over $50 billion of cocaine were introduced into the US during that period. Now the question will be, how do they move all that money out of the United States? However, that's a story for another video.